Napoleon Hill, the best-selling self-help author of Think and Grow Rich, once wrote, "Most real failures are due to limitations, which men set in their own minds." Again, he wrote, "Most real failures are due to limitations which men set up in their own minds." And having personally trained thousands of great people like you how to start and grow a successful company, I know you have the mental capacity and the tenacity needed to learn entrepreneurship. But some of us, we kind of go, okay, I have a great idea for a company, but now what? I have a great idea for a business, but now what? And so just today, a Thriver reached out to me and said, I've got this great idea for a t-shirt company. And so I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to record a show to teach you the proven steps that you need to take to make the amount of money that you want to make. But because I know that some people are starting their entrepreneur journey from the bottom and from a place of extreme poverty, I thought I should get my good friend Clifton Tolbert onto today's show. Clifton Tolbert is the first African-American west of the Mississippi to open up a bank. And as a young child, he wasn't allowed to go into the front door of a bank because of the color of his skin. His name is Clifton Tolbert. He's a Pulitzer Prize nominated author, and his life was actually turned into the movie called Once Upon a Time When We Were Colored. Again, the movie's Once Upon a Time When We Were Colored, and his name is Clifton Tolbert. And I wanted Clifton to encourage you that the American dream is absolutely possible. You can achieve the American dream.
I can do this, and I will do this. This is what I tell myself each day. Times are tough these days. All you have to do is turn on the news to find out.
Issue that will trigger the next financial meltdown.
I'm not here to talk about plans to deal with this till 2017. I'm saying we've got a real problem.
Debt is crushing us, with the average American household owing $15,000 on their credit card, $33,000 in student loans. The number of people who work their whole lives and still retire with debt is skyrocketing. People don't even think it's possible to be upwardly mobile anymore. That's the American dream. They think it's dead. You probably know someone that feels the same way. But my friend, they are wrong. History shows us that people have always faced adversity and have overcome obstacles. So can you. John Rockefeller had to drop out of school at the age of 16 to provide for his mom and his siblings after his dad left the family to fend for themselves. But his adversity did not stop him. By the time of John's death, his assets were over $340 billion in today's money. Was his success a choice? Think about it. Oprah Winfrey was raised during legal segregation and experienced a devastating childhood trauma for over 5 years. She had no factual reasons to think her future was bright, but she kept looking forward and went on to build a media empire, becoming the first female African-American billionaire. Was their success a choice? And for me, I know your choice matters. Because of racial segregation, I wasn't even allowed to use the front door of the bank in Greenville, Mississippi. I remember the back door, but I refused to let that slight cause me to fail. Without the ideal family setting and making a living in the cotton fields of the Delta, I shifted my thinking, and so can you. I imagined possibilities that did not even exist at the moment, but they eventually became my reality. I became a Pulitzer-nominated author, an entrepreneur who helped to introduce Stairmaster exercise system to the world. Now the president and CEO of 2 small businesses and one of the owners of a bank that 50 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to even walk through the front door. The American dream is not dead. Let me say it again. The American dream is not dead. Maybe a jump start is all it needs. So was my success a choice? You better believe it was definitely my choice. You see, adversity for many of us is a catalyst that initiates the change. It isn't easy. It's not always fun, but it's a choice. You can do this. No matter what situation you find yourself in, you can maximize your potential. You will meet adversity. Trust me, it will strengthen you. You will fail. It will be lessons learned you will never forget. You will be challenged, but your creativity will amaze you. Get-rich-quick schemes don't work, no matter how enticing. But if you're willing to shift your thinking and make the choice to work hard, believe in yourself, and continually educate yourself, you can accomplish whatever it is that you have imagined. Just imagine the possibilities and be ready to work them into reality. You know, we're excited to help you jumpstart your own success story. Now roll up your sleeves. You can do this. Be your own dream come true. Welcome to Thrive.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we'll show you.
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we are going to be talking about this topic, Z, that comes up a lot in conversation. I know you get asked this question as much or more than me, but someone will say, I have an idea. I have an idea for a business, Z, and now what?
And now what?
I have an idea for a business, but now what? And so what we're going to do is we're going to open up our boom books to page 4, and some of you might say, I don't have a boom book. Okay.
What?
Well, we're going to go to thrivetimeshow.com/free resources. thrivetimeshow.com/free resources, and there you can download an ebook version of every book that I have ever written, and they're all there for you to download. They're all free. So open up to page 4, and see, if we open up our book to page 4, we talk about the roadmap, and I'm going to go through this linear roadmap from from going from the left to the right.
Should we get in a car first if we're going to go on a road? Or should we be walking?
You know, Z, the thing about your humor is I just now wrapped my mind around what you meant by that, and I give you a mega point.
Thank you. I've been
I get every time I
shooting
edit
for
the
that for a
shows,
while.
after the shows are live, I listen to them, and then I laugh the whole time. One, I laughed at how slow I am on receiving jokes.
But you're good at delivering them. man.
I can't. It's like I gotta work. I gotta get better on the uptick. So on the roadmap from left to right, you start off with goals. We have to have a goal for the number of customers we need to achieve our goal. Z, let's start there. Let's say I have a vision. I just talked to a young man today who has a vision to start a T-shirt company.
I talked to someone the other day that has a vision to do the same thing.
So this particular guy, he and his wife lost a baby as his wife was giving birth. The baby died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And so he has now adopted 3 kids, and because they can't have a kid, I don't know the whole story, but they adopted some children, and he had this idea spawned by this thing, and he wants to make some shirts. And if I were sitting here talking to him, or you were talking to somebody, why does somebody need to know how many customers they need to achieve their financial goals? Why do you have to start with knowing that number?
Well, you kind of reverse engineer it. You start off with how much money does it take for you to live your lifestyle?
That's
right.
It's so big.
And then how much gross revenue would you have to get that net income? Let's just be factual about it, okay? So let's say, just have fun numbers. Let's say the guy says, I need a job that I could take $100,000 out of it and live the lifestyle I want to live, okay? Well, most businesses, as we know, if you're in that 20 to 25% net profit range, means that you're going to have to generate around $400,000 in sales.
$400,000 of sales.
Okay, so let's say your average T-shirt's going to be $19 or $10, right?
Now we're doing math. Here we go, folks.
Oh, God, I'm going, uh-oh.
So we take $400,000 divided by 19.
Let's say $19, just for the fun of it, okay? It's a higher-end T-shirt. Let's say he's going to do a quality T-shirt, all right?
You got to sell 21,000 T-shirts, Holmes.
Okay, so 21,000 T-shirts. So how many is that per day I got to sell?
21,000.
Let's say we're not open on Sundays.
Yep.
So that's going to be
21,052 shirts, and we divide that by. Are we going to work 300? You said how many per week? How many per week you
Yeah,
said?
let's say it's per week, 52 weeks in
Okay,
a
we
year.
divide that by 52. Doing the math.
And we
here.
know every business is like a roller coaster. It's cyclic. Like in the optometry business, where our two peaks are when income tax return money comes and back to school. Those are two big pushes for people to come in to get their eye care. We're busy all year, but those are two, and we're a little slower in April, a little slower in June. So it's kind of and I'm sure the T-shirt business would be, but if we just kind of normalized it, would say how many then?
That would you need to sell 404 per week.
Okay, 404 per week. Now we're getting someplace. And the average person's going to buy one or two, or what are we thinking here?
Average person comes in and buys one.
Average person buys one. So then that's how many people we need to come into our store every week and buy said number of T-shirts for us to reach that end goal. If we do better than that, hey!
67 shirts per day. 67 shirts per day would be the number per day you need. 67 shirts per day. Now, what happens is people, before you even take the first step, we have to fundamentally believe that the business exists to serve you.
Right.
Otherwise,
you might have really cool sayings on your T-shirts that maybe uplift and edify and give someone a warm fuzzy when they see it.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean you're doing it for that. You're doing it to pay the bills.
And it's not a business. It would be a hobby if you're just doing it for the warm, fuzzy feeling.
Correct. And
It'd be
that's
a
a
hobby.
hobby. That's a hobby. And that's okay. You can have a hobby. You can have all the hobbies you want.
So step one, we got to know how many customers we need to achieve our goals. Okay. Now, step two, we have to know how many hours per week am I willing to work to make this work? And I think a lot of people say, oh, I'm willing to really go all in. I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
Except for Saturdays, of course, because that's I go to the lake.
I can't work on a Saturday. I can't work on
I
a
like
Sunday.
to take off about half a day Friday because I got to get to the lake to get it all set up to enjoy it on Saturday.
And on page 21 right here in the Boom Book, I
Boom
actually
Book.
list out this is an unfortunate but true stat here. The average American takes 104 days off per year that they'd feel entitled to. If you look at this here, there's 104 of them. So you have the weekends, obviously, Saturday and Sunday. So that's going to get you right there 100. You got 52 weeks. You got two weekend days per week. So you got right there 104. You already have 104 days off, right?
Right there. That's just the weekends, yeah.
And then you say, well, on top of that, though, what about the day before New Year's Eve?
Oh, yeah.
And then New Year's Eve. And what about the day after New Year's Day or New Year's Day? What about those long weekends? The 4th of July or the day after the 4th of July or the day leading up to the 4th of July?
Yeah, if it falls on a Saturday, maybe I take maybe I take that Friday off too.
The whole week, this year Christmas fell on like a Wednesday, I think. Some people took the Tuesday off before and then the Thursday after. And so if you want to live like an employee and take maybe 150 days off a year, you just can't be successful.
Well, don't start a business. Just go punch a clock. That's fine. That's
fine.
honorable. I mean,
It's fine.
show up to work with excellence, work as if you're working unto the Lord as your boss. I mean, have the right attitude at work and do a great job. Small businesses exist because they have employees. There's nothing wrong with having employees or being an employee.
Nothing wrong with
it. But if you are going to sign up,
come on now,
and that little club, it's a little club called being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. Then you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I willing to be successful? Am I going to limit myself? Am I going to be my own limiting membrane because I don't want to work?
So step one, you have to write down how many customers you need to achieve your goals. And then step two, Devin, put this on the notes. You've got to write down how many hours per week you're willing to work. And for how long until it works. So as an example, on page 58 of the Boom Book, I have pictures on here I can show you on page 58. But the little company called Google was started in 1996 under the name of Backrub. Backrub started in 1996. And those homeboys didn't make a profit for 3 years. Another example, you think about Facebook. Facebook was started in 2005. And the first 3 years, Z, guess how much money they made those first 3 years of Facebook?
Zero.
They actually lost $3.63 million.
3.63.
A small little company by the name of Amazon was started by a guy no one knows named Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos didn't make a profit for 9 years.
Right out of his parents' garage.
See, didn't you work? Am I making this up? I might be reading the book the wrong way. I don't know. Look at this page. Am I reading this the wrong way? But I think you worked 7 days a week when you started your when you started your business. Did you work 7 days a week?
Yes, because that's all the days in the week. If they had an 8th day, I would have worked it too.
So you have a business idea. Now what? But people want to focus on the idea, do they not?
Oh yeah, they enjoy that, and they enjoy talking about it as if it's already successful. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Like the idea is the thing that's going to win.
Right. Just the idea itself. It's going to, and this whole concept of this business going viral, and just as soon as you open the door, it's just going to go wow. Woo! I mean, a line around the block to
People
get in.
waking up going, I have a burning desire.
I'll die if I don't get a T-shirt today.
I don't even know the name of the company. I've never seen an advertisement for it because they don't advertise. But I have a burning desire to buy a shirt from somebody. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to cold call people in Tulsa until I find the guy with the idea.
I'm going to find that guy.
So step 3, we have to figure out how our product is going to stand out differently from other people. You have to determine your unique value proposition.
Yeah, what problem are you solving? I mean, why on earth is someone going to give you money for whatever you're trying to do?
Why?
Why?
Now, step number 4, you have to improve your branding. Everything that people see, everything that a potential customer will see has to look great. It has to look good and not hood.
And that costs a little bit of money. Sorry to interrupt you, Clay, but
no, sure.
That costs a little bit of money. You have to factor that in. Now, you can find a lot of really good professionals out there for not a lot of money. In fact, I know some very, very, very... That's a lot of varies. I don't think you're supposed to say very like that.
No, you said it right.
I know some businesses that their logos are iconic, and they got them for next to nothing. You know what's the T-shirt company with the big smiley Eskimo Joe? Eskimo Joe's.
Yes,
Eskimo Joe's.
Eskimo Joe's.
The guy that started Eskimo Joe's, it's a restaurant now T-shirts, now everything out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. Actually went, this is the story I heard. I probably could Google this to find out, but went to the college and went to the art business people and said, I'm looking for a logo. Anybody wants to take a shot at it, I'll give you $25, $50, whatever it was. And the logo was drawn, and now it's like it was like the number 2 sold T-shirt in the country at one point.
Right.
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I remember, they're doing a news story of some disaster somewhere, and the people that they were interviewing had on an Eskimo Joe's T-shirt, and they were somewhere other than Oklahoma for sure. But anyway, so you have to start off and make it look like you're legit, make it look like you're the real deal, And you might just say, well, I'll fix that down the road, or I'll do that when I start making some money, or I'll
gotta look hot from the very beginning.
It's got to look hot. It's got to look professional. Because a lot of people will look at you and they'll instantly, people judge a book by its cover. I hate to tell you that. They do. So you want to make that cover of your book, i.e. your business, look the best it can to start off with. And there's some creative ways to get it done for not a lot of money. And then there's also some very, very talented people out there. They don't charge a whole lot of money. I mean, to get a good logo is probably from a professional $400 or $500?
I'd say the going rate in Tulsa right now is probably about $1,500 people pay
that
for
much?
that.
Wow, okay.
I don't advise anybody to spend that much money on it, but the companies charge that. And I would just say this, Jack Dorsey, who is the founder of Square and Twitter, he says this. I love his quote. He says, make every detail perfect and limit the number of details to perfect. So make your business card great. Make your website great. Make your print pieces great. Everything that the customer sees and touches needs to look great. But then don't make just the whole world great. I mean, don't spend your whole life just making print pieces. You got to eventually sell something. And we're going to come back to this topic here in just a matter of minutes. But first, we're going to call our guest here. See, we're going to try to call the guest right now and see if we can patch him in right here on the show.
This doesn't always go well.
It rarely does.
It's rarely done.
Calling Jason. Calling him up right now. Hello?
Clay.
Yes, is this Jay Scott?
Yes, this is Jay Scott.
Hey, brother, do you want me to call you Jay, Jason, Dr. J? What do your friends call you?
They just call me Jay, man.
Okay.
J-Man? That's kind of cool. J-Man, I like that.
Beautiful. Hey, you're here joined on audio with Dr. Robert Zellner. He is my partner. He co-hosts this show with me. See, how old are you at last take?
Last time I checked, I was 55.
He's 55. He has
but you know what?
Three kids.
I got
and he owns a bank.
Full disclosure: every year my age changes. So I mean, I'm just selling. It's hard to keep.
That's mind blowing.
It is. Thank you, Jay. It is mind blowing, isn't it?
You are so super.
This is what we do.
This is who we are. We can't turn it off.
We wish we
could. We wish we could, but.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, is that better?
I think the other way sounded okay too. I mean, I'm flexible. Let me try my audio.
Does that sound okay? Does it sound okay? It's like I'm talking through a megaphone.
It sounds like you're talking through a megaphone.
Because
Yeah.
he actually is talking through a microphone. So.
Just-
You are now entering the dojo of Mojo and the Thrive Time Show.
Thrive Time Show on the microphone. What is this? Top of the iTunes charts in the category of business. Drilling down on business topics like we are a dentist. Providing you with internship like you are an apprentice. And we go so fast that you might get motion sickness. Grab a pen and pad to the lab. Let's get in this. It's time to bear some fruit like some Florida oranges. 3, 2, 1. Here come the business ninjas.
Sonic boom.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's hot.
Yes.
Some
Yeah.
hot sauce.
Have
there,
you heard
baby.
that before?
No, that's the first time I've heard that one.
Anytime you can rhyme with oranges, that's when you know it's a good
That's
rhyme.
you know you're there.
Oh, well,
You're
on
there.
today's show, we've got a guy who I'm not sure about his rhyming skills, but I know about his project management skills.
Ooh.
And we have so many listeners out there that have a team, right?
Right.
They have a team. They've read the John Maxwell book, and it's like to make the dream work, you got to have make the team work. You know, you got to have a team. You got to grow from me to we. And then somehow it's addition. It's like subtraction through addition. It's like the more people they add, the worse the quality gets and the less things get done. And on today's show, we have a guy who's going to help our listeners manage projects. Jay Scott, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic. I'm so excited to be here, guys. Thanks for inviting me on the show today.
Oh, man, we are fired up. Talk to me about this Irreverent Guide to Project Management. When did you first have the idea to write this book, or what inspired you to write it?
Well, you know, they say that necessity is the mother of all invention. I, young and full of myself, after managing large global projects for Universal Studios for a couple of years, decided to start a company with the idea that I would, I'd have a company, but I'd really just be an independent consultant. I did that for a couple of years, and I had clients just ask me to take on more and more work. And I started thinking, I don't want to say no because that upsets people. So how do I say yes without letting them down? And so I started telling them that if they let me bring in someone else, that someone else would, under my supervision, deliver exactly like I would. And so somebody finally took me up on it. And as it turned out, without knowing, I lied to them. I tried to tribally and using the force, get this other individual to sort of be like me, which I've learned over the years also is a bad idea. Let people be like them is probably the best way to lead and get good results. But back then I thought the best way to get good results would be to have them be like me. So I decided to write a sort of an instruction manual. We'll call it the first guidebook. And then, what I learned from that experience was just because you write it and hand it out doesn't mean that people will read it. So we then developed training. So, a combination of training and guidebooks and instruction, ultimately really to be able to deliver consistently on our brand promise. So it was really business driven. I had a need to grow my team, and I wanted to ensure that I could get consistent results or provide consistent results to my customers. And so the first version of the Irreverent Guide was born.
See, I think I know why a lot of our listeners should not buy this book. Is it fair for me to share why all of our listeners should not buy this book?
Absolutely. I think full disclosure, yes.
Because if you get a book like this, The Irreverent Guide to Project Management, and you actually apply what's in it, you're not going to have anything to do.
You don't have
You're
going to
be bored. You have all this money, all this profit, and and then the money gets heavy. You got to carry it around, the weight, the burden, the responsibility of wealth.
Yeah.
Z, at your optometry clinic, do you manage people, or do you just let them do whatever?
Well, I'm a firm believer. I mean, my motto there in managing people is what I do is I tell them, I say the beatings will continue until morale improves. And I just waylay. I just go through there and just randomly just waylay people. And unless their morale is really top notch, then, they just the beatings continue.
At the bank, Regent Bank, do you still have the motto, whatever? Just whatever, guys?
Well, not only whatever, but it's actually grown to whatever, whenever.
Whatever, whenever. You make your own schedule. The projects will manage themselves.
It's kind of even farther. It's whatever, whenever, whoever. I don't care.
It sounds like a Shakira song.
I don't care. Yeah, It's actually, I think.
Okay, so I want to ask this, Jay Scott. Where do most business owners get it wrong by default when it comes to managing projects?
Oh, wow. That's a that's a big question. So I'm gonna start by saying with all due respect, because if I say with all due respect, that I can say whatever I want.
I love that.
That is a rule.
Right?
That is a rule. That is a rule.
Yep.
I love it. So with all due respect, I feel like they believe that they can take anybody, that's kind of been around and demonstrated reliable behavior, the hungry behavior, the ability to get small things done. They think that they could give them an email address and a calendar and have them schedule meetings, and that they can successfully plan and deliver like large, complicated projects. And funny enough, this project management thing requires discipline. There's a couple of tools and techniques, and you guys have seen the book. It's kind of big, and so constantly I get asked, like, is it really necessary to do all the things in the book? Or it seems like a lot. The funny thing about it is when we've had people that have successfully trained in and learned and then applied this, every single one of them will tell you that following the standards, the tools, or the techniques in the book actually saves them time. So think what business owners typically do is they find somebody that's a go-getter, that's reliable, and they're like, hey, we've got this business-critical project. We'd like you to take it on.
Yeah.
That person literally starts making things up. So think about how inefficient a doctor would be if they made up how they would treat you every single time, sort of based on whatever buzzwords or popular thing was being written about in Forbes magazine or Inc. magazine or whatever medical journal it is. It would be incredibly inefficient. They would probably get sued a lot. And so, just like any other discipline, if you give somebody a handful of proven tools and techniques and they take the time, yes, it requires time. People are slower at first when mastering any discipline. If they take the time to master it, it would make them incredibly efficient. Just to drive that home, probably my most senior, we'll call him project leader. He's been doing this with me for 15 years. He was employee number 1. There are times where we'll have him start up a project because a client's got this urgent need to start it. Obviously, he can't be the guy to carry it forward because he's juggling a handful of other things for the organization. But he can get in there. He can run a full-time project in 15 to 20 hours a week. When we hand that off to somebody that's either new, that's not mastered these disciplines, or just has fewer years of experience, then it requires them to work 40, 45, sometimes 50 hours a week to carry the same initiative forward. So I would say the biggest mistake that most business owners make is assuming that good leadership is cowboy up.
Right. I see this a lot too, and I want to get your take on this, Jay. I see a lot of business owners that have not agreed on a consistent file nomenclature. So everybody on the team uses their own made-up acronyms. And so what happens is everybody is literally speaking another language, and everyone is saving files in a different way, in a different place, so no one can find the files. Nobody is speaking the same language, and then they manage by CC emailing everybody on the group somewhere between aggressive and passive-aggressive commentary, chastising or correcting somebody for using the wrong acronyms and for not being able to find the file, and then people live in their email. Do you see this, or am I just dealing with people who are experiencing psychotic episodes?
Well, so first of all, I just threw up a little bit in my mouth, and I'm going to text my therapist and schedule an appointment for the PTSD I'm living from what you just described. Yeah, I mean, I see it all the time. It's interesting that there's 4 chemicals that our brain produces that makes us feel happy. I'm sure you guys are familiar. It's dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. Our brain produces dopamine when it feels like we're accomplishing things. The sad truth is busy will produce dopamine. So people that are busy, looking at emails, responding to emails, debating about process, all of those things actually causes our brain to produce dopamine, which makes us feel productive. And so the sad truth is that it's so much easier to be busy and feel busy than it is to get shit done.
Hey, Jay, whenever you talk about dopamine, I've just got to play this right now. I mean, you got me muted over here.
I do. Let me hey. Oh.
Turn me down a little bit.
Oh, come on now.
I gotta. When you say dopamine, it just makes me feel good.
Do they still put dopamine in that Dayquil you're drinking over there?
I tell you what, I love some dopamine in my Dayquil. And in fact, I call it Dopaquil. I just put so much in there. I just can't get enough of it.
Nice.
I mean, who doesn't want to feel good, Jay? Are you saying we can't feel good? Are you saying that it's wrong to feel good? Is that the takeaway here?
Oh no!
No, I know,
Don't
I'm
get me
teasing-
wrong.
I'm teasing-
I
I'm
think
teasing with
I think
you.
it's great to feel good. Like we
For the right
pleasure,
reasons,
we
though,
all
right?
seek pleasure.
Yes.
It's just easy to get. It's easier to get pleasure by being busy, spinning in
Right.
high speed
Oh,
circles
I
than
see
it
that all
is
the
to
time,
get
yes.
pleasure from actually getting something done.
Do you still allow at Regent Bank Z for people to save, people to like name an account, whatever they want, and then just sort of round up the numbers on bank balances? Do you still allow that?
We encourage rounding up and rounding down. We just rounding. We just like we
Is
don't
that casual?
We just do that, and then also we just like giving out random bank number accounts.
Well,
There's
I know some listeners out there are going, but I want to talk about vision. I want to talk about mission. I'm more of an idea guy, baby. I don't want to talk about managing a team. Well, listen to this. Elon Musk, the great Elon Musk, has said this. I'm reading here. It says, acronyms seriously suck. There's a creeping tendency to use made-up acronyms at SpaceX. An excessive use of made-up acronyms is a significant impediment to communication, and keeping communication good as we grow is incredibly important. Individually, a few acronyms here and there may not seem so bad, but if 1,000 SpaceX employees are making these up, over time, the result will be a huge glossary that we have to issue to new people. And no one can actually remember all these acronyms, and people don't want to seem dumb in a meeting. So they just sit there in ignorance. That is particularly tough on new employees. And he just goes on and on, just saying, stop it. And if you want to meet somebody who's super successful, every single person, Z, that you've ever met that's super successful and that I've ever met and we've had on this show, they're all into the details. This show right here could be the most important show you've heard out there. Quit talking about your vision. Quit talking about perpetual busyness. And let's get down to business. Jay Scott, bring some passion. Educate our listeners, because somebody out there says, I want to talk about the vision. I don't want to talk about organizing and managing my team. Preach the good news. Somebody needs to hear this.
Come on now, preach this.
Okay, all right. I could jump on this, but before I do, I like the idea of being able to round up the balance in my account. So I'm running down to your bank to open an account.
Oh, sure.
And when I'm
Hey,
done, I get back to the
whenever,
conversation.
whatever, whoever, just come on.
Shakira.
Come on.
I'm just saying, So vision, mission, all this soft, cuddly stuff. Here's the thing. There's a place for vision, mission, just like there's a place for a very prescriptive, measurable project definition, right? Like you have to be super clear on where you're going. Otherwise, the people aren't going to be able to architect their own roadmap to a shared result. The problem with most organizations is, again, they want to craft these visions or these missions that feel good, that sound good, that are aspirational, but are immeasurable, and often don't relate to the most important thing in any business, and that's accomplishing something positive with the bottom line. So I see a lot organizations caught up in the process, caught up in the vision, caught up in the mission, and they lose sight of the results that it was that they wanted to achieve by crafting these things to begin with. So at the end of the day, the easiest way to measure, did the curation of a vision or a mission with your team help you? You've got to then look at the results that you're getting. If your results have not improved, throw it out. It doesn't work. It's not working.
Right.
And the other advice that I would give is, again, you're not looking, a project definition to accomplish something. You want to launch something that's going to change your organization, because nobody starts a project because they want their organization to be the same in a month, 6 months, or a year, right? Like that's why we call them transformational projects. The idea though is it's meant to accomplish something that either benefits your customers, your clients, your consumers, your team members. And so it is super critical to not lose sight of what it is that you're trying to accomplish every step of the way. And so what you want to do is craft something, launch it, measure it. If it's not working, pivot. But at the end of the day, don't throw it out and say, oh, you know what, this process for defining a project, this process for managing a project doesn't work, or this vision thing is silly, it doesn't work, or this mission thing, it's silly, it doesn't work. No, it's just what you did with it didn't work. So again, crisply defining the hill that you need to take, regardless of what it is. If you want to do that with a vision, if you want to do that with a mission, if you want to do that with a project charter, that's great. Make sure that it's prescriptive, make sure that it's measurable, make sure that it's barely sufficient, right? People don't like to read more than 2 paragraphs in an email, right? So if you write this big mission or vision that's like an 11, 12, 15, 20, 30-page manifesto, nobody's going to read it. Human nature being what it is, if it's that big, it's immeasurable.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I'll barely read 2
won't get the
paragraphs.
results. You won't get the results that you're looking for.
Let's talk about this for a second. you're saying we got to craft these concise messages then, or help the listeners out there who are used to sending 4-page epiphanies to their team and seeing them all. How should they be communicating?
Nobody's reading them. That's my response.
Hashtag nobody's reading it.
It's so true. It's so true.
It is so true.
See, I've got audio we took from a bad leader behaving badly.
Okay.
And I'm going to play this. And I'd like for you, if you can, Jay, to explain what this guy's doing wrong. Okay, I'm going to play the audio, and you tell me what this small business owner is doing incorrectly. Let me cue it up. Here we go.
All right, guys, I've been to the mountaintop, and I got something to say. All right, I'm unveiling the new long-term profit goal. Are you guys ready for this? Drum roll, please. This is going to blow your mind, okay? This is what we're going to do. This is good.
$30 million? There's only 2 of us.
We made $63,000 in gross sales last year. That's everything.
Okay, look, I'm a visionary. Okay, what you're witnessing right here, this is leadership. I'm looking at where we're going to be 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. Henry Fonda, when he invented the Model T, were they sitting around going, how are we going to build this car? No, okay? They got their hands dirty, they grabbed the bull by the horns, and then they killed it.
Okay, so what's the plan?
Step 1, okay? We're going to maximize efficiency. Number 2, write this down. Number 2, Step 3, emulsification. Listen, you guys follow those steps, we're going to hit our goal by the winter of 2032. Okay, what an incredible Christmas that'll be. All right, so you guys know what you're doing?
No.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to hit the links. Ooh, Daddy likes.
Jay, this is how most small business owners lead their meetings. How are we supposed to lead a meeting? Help us lead a meeting effectively so we can manage our teams.
Wow. Wow, that was terrible.
In a really funny way.
So right, yeah, agree. So human nature being what it is, one, I agree. People need a leader to establish the vision. However, if you put something in front of your team from a vision perspective, that's such a huge leap from where you are. I mean, let's just make the assumption that was some Silicon Valley startup pre-revenue, and they're going to go to 32 million. He lost the team. Like, he has no credibility with that team. In fact, they're all polishing their resumes, looking for jobs, and milking the fact that this guy's spending his VC's money. Right? While trying to position themselves for the next big adventure because he's lost them. So I think it's really important with any initiative is to recognize that big, bang, giant, top-down thing, they don't work. So what you want to do is establish something that you can get done in the near term. Where are we going in a year? That's fine. Right? A rolling 12-month strategy, that's great. But then you want to break that down into quarterly increments. What can we do in the next 3 months to move us closer to that goal? And then you've got to really be able to describe fundamentally what your business needs to do to achieve that. I mean, that guy's like, oh, we're going to make – I don't even know what they do for a living, right? Like, are they building widgets? Like, are they running up I don't know, like running a bank? So, hey.
That was audio of Z leading his bank meeting.
What are we going to change in our business over the next 3 months to attain that goal, right? And so the other thing that's really important is that organizations are optimized for the results that they're getting today. So anytime you want to get a different result, you need to change something.
So I'm going to do this. See, we have time for 4 rapid-fire questions. I'm going to hit them with 3 hard-hitting ones in a row. And then you can one-up me. So we've got 5 minutes, 4 questions. Here we go. Question: When you have a meeting and you leave the meeting and somebody on your team has something to do, so you assign an action item for Carl to get this done. Why is it important to determine who is supposed to do the thing and when they're supposed to have the thing done? And then why do you have to put all that into a control log, or why do you have to document all this kind of stuff? Help some listeners out there that are not used to documenting the status of jobs and who's supposed to do stuff. Help our listeners become better at managing their people.
Oh, that's a great question. All right, so we've all heard this thing, accountability, that makes everyone cringe. We don't want to talk about it. It's this terrible thing that you do, right?
Right.
Like, so the idea is that we as leaders are supposed to help our team, set them up to be accountable. So if I'm the leader in a room and there's a bunch of things that need to be done, I'm going to look at the person that I think most appropriate to do it. And I'm going to say, hey, listen, we need to accomplish this. I'm going to then talk through with them what they think they should do to accomplish it, because that's how I get clear. It's my job to actively negotiate a commitment, meaning that if I say, hey, I think we need to get the building painted. John, you're the guy that's responsible for painting the building, right? John nods. Then I say, cool, do you know what to do? And John says, yes. John goes away. How often have we not gotten the expected result, right? When I said I was thinking beige, John's thinking blue. I come back 3 days later, the building's blue. I'm freaking out. As a leader, I want to ensure that we're on the same page. That's why it's called a shared goal or a shared result. So I'm going to say, hey, John, you're the guy responsible for painting. Cool. Do we have any standards for that? John starts talking blue. I'm like, I don't like blue. Our color at 120 is olive green. Can we paint it olive green? John's like, that whole building olive green, Jay, really? And I'd be like, okay, compromise. So ultimately, John, at the end, describes back to me his next steps. I'm like, cool, John, when? John tells me when. John's made all these commitments. And then here's the thing. John's going to leave my meeting and go to 25 more meetings in the course of the next 8 hours at work, right? And so I'm going to log that because I'm also going to go to 10 more meetings and I'm going to put it in a place where John and the 3 or 4 other people on my team look for stuff. And then later I'm going to publish meeting notes so that John's going to get the next day. And so ultimately what's happened is I've asked John to make a commitment. I've asked John how he's going to accomplish his commitment. I've listened to what John was going to do. So I know what John's going to do and John knows what he's going to do. So I've set both of us up to get a good result. I've then logged it, and so let's say John can't get to it 3 days, and so 3 days later he's sitting around, he's like, what am I supposed to do today? He can go to the log and look like I've helped him. I've put it there. He'll be like, oh, thank you, Jay, for logging that for me. And when I send the meeting notes, the next morning from the meeting, John's already forgotten the commitment that he's going to make to me. He gets the meeting notes, he pops it open, and he's like, right, thanks for the reminder, Jay. So cultivating good commitments is all about public, active, voluntary, explicit, mission-based, right? Those are the 5 things I'm going to do in cultivating a good commitment. I'm going to publish notes to remind them that they made that commitment, because human beings forget stuff, especially in today's fast-paced environment. And then I'm going to log it, because I guarantee you that there's not a one of us that doesn't sit down at least once in a week and shakes their head and thinks, oh my God, I've got so much to do. What all am I supposed to be doing again? No, we have to write that stuff down. You can't keep it in your head. If you're trying to keep information in your head, you're setting yourself up to fail.
Z, we have today on the show a guy. He is the author, the best-selling author here of this book, The Irreverent Guide to Project Management. Just a wealth of knowledge. But we've got about 60 seconds here, Z. We have time for one more question from you. 60 seconds for the author of The Irreverent Guide to Project Management. What's your final question for the man with a plan?
Well, everybody's listening out there. We're a business show. And so when I look at what you're doing and how you can help business owners with this book, if there's one takeaway, if someone says, I don't want to buy it, I can't read, I don't want to read, I want to read a book. If you could give them one tip, one super move to a business owner right now today that's struggling, managing his team, inspiring his team, getting his team fired up, getting them productive, what would be the most important super move in your opinion?
Well, the one simple thing I want to reinforce in what you said was somebody that's struggling, right? They have admitted to themselves that they aren't happy with the results that they're getting today.
Right.
Then they need to change something, and they also need to acknowledge if they knew how to get better results, they'd already be getting better results. So seek knowledge, seek other people's experience. The best and easiest way to do that is to buy a book on Amazon for $9.99.
Come on now.
And do the work. If you, in at least in the United States of America, all you need to do to accomplish anything that you want, short of defy physics, is do the work. If you want to be LeBron, let's assume you've got some athletic tendencies, do the work. If you want to be Elon, do the work.
That is profound.
That's profound.
I tell you what, Devin, right now, let's do the work and let's buy a copy right now. Let's buy a copy of The Irreverent Guide to Project Management right now. Let's buy it right now, and let's leave this guy a review as soon as Amazon will allow us to do it. Jay, I appreciate you so much for investing your time with our listeners, and I sincerely mean this. I would love to have you on the show again.
Because if we had an hour, we only used half of it. So in theory.
But I want to do a longer form interview with you because this was really good. But I just would. So I'll reach out to you again too, because I think that our listeners just got a chance to put the toe in the water into the knowledge base.
They just got their beak wet. I mean, there's so
just
much more.
Wet beaks.
I mean,
Jay, thank you so much, my friend.
I'd love to, guys. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It was a blast.
Hey, you take care. Z, is it okay if we go back and talk about how to start a company again? It's like we started off by answering a question from a listener, and now we interviewed a great guest there, Mr. Jay Scott, and now let's go back to where we were talking about starting a company. Does that sound fair to you?
You know what? I'm going to go with it this one time, but I want Devin to put on the show notes that I have a slight to moderate amount of reservation about it.
Okay, so
Devin.
We will put it on the record. A slight to moderate reservation Dr. Zellner has here on this beautiful day at 4:42. Start date log, January 13th. Their start date log. So
thank you.
So here
this is noted.
Devin would be he would be kind of like the Sulu of this analogy.
Yeah.
And then you would be like the Captain Kirk.
And
I'm kind of like the Spock.
Like him.
And Kendall here's Kendall, the gentleman filming. He's kind of like Scotty.
I need more power.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm giving you all I got,
so
Captain.
Step one, if you want to start a company, though, is you have to figure out your goals and how many transactions you need to do per year in order to achieve those financial goals, because a business exists to serve you.
Bingo.
Step two, you got to figure out how many hours per week you're willing to work, and you've got to say for how long you're willing to do it. And Z, your spouse has to be okay with it.
They have to buy in. They have to buy in, because if they don't, you got yourself a situation.
Charles
that ain't
Koloff,
good.
You and your incredible wife founded Koloff Fitness together in a $115,000 house in Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Yes, sir.
What time per day did you start your work week when you started Koloff Fitness, personally training clients out of your house? What time did you wake up and start training your first client every single day?
I would wake up at 4:30 and always be training my client by 5. It was in my house, so I was training.
Where was Amber at this time? Was
clients.
was Amber getting up at the same time? Because I know she ran a hair salon and she cut people's hair. Was she working at 4:32, or how did that work?
Not all the time, but she generally woke up within an hour or so after that and got the kids off and to school, and
so
then
she's
started
getting
her
ready.
schedule
She's
with the
taking
hair
a
salon.
shower. She's getting her hair run.
She's probably at the spa too. I mean, probably.
But I mean,
at
you're
the
getting
spa
ready
right
for your day.
Every day.
And are you hearing guys? Are you hearing men say, "You can do it, pump it up"? I mean, are you hearing that kind of stuff? Could you hear that when you're getting ready?
No, she might be able to hear some of that all the time getting ready, but I did not know.
So talk to me about this. Were you two on the same page that you were both willing to work? Was it 7 days a week or 6 days a week?
We were until we weren't. So it was
okay.
We would take as much as we can, and then she would let me know when it's time to back it off.
Okay. Now, step three, though. Step three.
And obviously you listen because the two of you are still together. That's the key.
Yes.
Nice.
They will speak.
There's been times that I've done it wrong, and
yeah,
and I figured out really quick if this is going to work.
How'd that work out? It didn't work out.
I better switch it up.
Yeah.
I really love hearing stories about other men who are behaving badly, because it's always funny for me. And then whenever I have to share the stories about me behaving badly I think a lot of listeners benefit when I make fun of myself. They're never as funny, those stories about me. But the stories about
those
are funny stories.
Wait, time out. Tell me one of those stories about you behaving badly.
Okay, here's one.
Young grasshopper.
When I was starting the DJ business, I went to Minneapolis, Minnesota, to buy my first big systems, and we drove up there in a Mazda MPV. And my wife to be.
Loud to you, by the way?
What's that?
Am I too loud over here?
It is a little bit loud. At first, I was trying to passively aggressively mute it, I think, and then now I've decided to passively aggressively make it so loud that I mute myself.
It's just.
So here's the deal. So I proposed to this young lady, Vanessa, who I'm now married to, but she flew into Minnesota to visit me, and we drove in a Mazda MPV from Cokato, Minnesota, about an hour to Minneapolis to buy equipment from Joey Shake.
Joey Shake, I know him.
He was the sales rep, Joey Shake.
Oh my gosh, he owes me money.
And so I go to the Guitar Center with all the money I've saved as a result of working my jobs, Applebee's, Target, DirecTV, and I also did concrete for a season. So I saved all that money.
Oh, yeah.
And I bought a Mazda MPV. That's like a minivan, a maroon one. And I bought the equipment. And I measured it all out, and I thought, here we go. We've got all the equipment, and it's massive pieces of equipment. Okay, we're getting what's called a gig rig. It's a big unit where you put your dual CD players in there. You got a heavy amplifier, big speakers. They're JBL 225s.
Wow,
you have an SM58 mic. You've got a lot of equipment in there.
You've got a lot of
lights,
equipment.
Fog, light trussing.
Oh my goodness!
I got a.
Wow.
I did not buy a dolly though because I couldn't afford it. So I had all this gear and I would just carry it. And then when my wife to be Vanessa says, "This is so cool because our business is growing. It's my first official system now. I've always rented gear. This is my thing.
Your thing." Oh my
and they start loading the gear in. And I bought probably $20,000 of gear. I'm just packing out the vehicle. Now, we're driving from Minnesota to college. We're coming back to college for our sophomore year to attend Oral Roberts University. And we're loading it all in. And then it occurs, Joey Shake pulls me aside and says, "Hey, where's the lady going to sit? Is she driving a different car?" And I go, No, she'll be fine. She'll be fine. And then all of a sudden it occurs to me, oh, no. There's literally, I did not factor in, I drew a diagram and all this stuff, and I didn't factor her body sitting in the passenger seat.
Uh-oh.
1, that indicates I'm myopic. 2, I'm selfish. 3, I just convinced her to marry me. I mean, I just proposed like the day before, so it shows this person who apparently has been thinking about proposing for a while hasn't thought about you in the context of driving in the vehicle.
Okay, but full disclosure, she's little. She's itty bitty.
I'm not kidding.
I mean, she's like
Very
a
petite.
fun size, Snickers bar.
College cheerleader, very in shape. So I had to convince her to put the DJ gig rig made by the company SKB, which weighed 85 pounds on her lap.
Probably what she weighed.
And she had to have it on her lap for the entire 13-hour trip to Tulsa. And every time we hit a bump, it was like, ah! And it hurt. And I'm not kidding. She was like, oh. Every time we would turn, it was, and that happened. It was a 13-hour trip.
A 13-hour trip.
At the time, she probably weighed 115 pounds. And it was, I'm not kidding, 100 is at least an 85-pound. It had the amplifiers in there, the equipment, and that's how it all started.
Dude. If you could survive a 13-hour trip with your spouse to be carrying your gig rig.
Yeah, the only reason that we're still married is because I'm married to a saint. It has nothing to do. I mean, I seriously have made every bad mistake. So anytime that Charles can share anything ever he's done, I always feel, I'm like, that's a good story.
Yes. That's a great story.
Let's harp on that story.
I relate to some of your things.
Okay, so what happens is, step 3, though, on page 4 of the Boom Book, we have to develop our unique value proposition. So at Koloff Fitness, obviously you don't do personal training anymore like you did. Now you're a big box gym. It's like a Planet Fitness meets Chick-fil-A. It's high quality, great culture, great atmosphere. But what was your unique value proposition when you first started? Was it, hey, I'm Charles and I will train you? What made you different?
Well, in Bartlesville, there wasn't a lot of trainers at all.
Love it.
Just like you've probably learned with DJing. You've had a few DJs in Tulsa, and they were all terrible. And so
it was terrible.
I was super passionate about fitness, and I had been in fitness competitions, bodybuilding. And I remember I had lost 83 pounds with a trainer, and I just correlated the same principles because I was passionate about it into my clients. And they saw that I knew what I was doing. I was successful at it. I've won some fitness shows.
Walking billboard.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it was like a landslide because nobody in that whole town of 35,000 really was very, very good. So
do you have some muscles over there, Kendall? If you zoom in on those, do you have the ability to flex those things? Oh my gosh, look at that! Oh, that is Z. That's Shunda. That right there is very very bromantic. It's amazing. Look at that. Now, so he's a walking billboard.
He's a walking billboard.
Now back to our listener though, who has this T-shirt company idea. Don't make shirts that people can buy other places. Don't do that to yourself.
Don't do it.
You got to have something unique. Z, at your optometry clinic, what do you do that's different from other optometry clinics? When you first started, rumor has it there was no other optometry clinics that believed it was either ethical or a good idea to be open on the weekends.
Yeah, we're open 7 days a week. That's kind of one thing. Extended hours during the week. We have 1 hour labs, so unless insurance drives the deal, you can get your glasses in about an hour. And people are like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. I don't want faulty glasses made in an hour." I'm like, They're all made about an hour. You just got to wait on to be shipped here or shipped there, or go to another place, or someone approve it or whatnot. They're all glasses are made, and it doesn't take just.
And it feels like you're in like a Soho retail environment, like you're shopping in New York when you go into your place.
Soho.
It doesn't feel like you're going to a boring, stale, typical optometrist's.
No,
clinic.
and we always we try to do. We bring a lot of value, so we have a lot of good deals. We have
hot deals.
A big hot pocket coming at you, and then we try to be unique in that regard. And I've tried to take the best. As I travel the country, I try to take the best out of different opticals and optometrist offices that I was in, and build a super optical.
Do you just?
It's kind of fun, so people enjoy it.
Do you check to see if there's cameras before you take things out of other optometry clinics and bring it back to your clinic, or do you have a move for that you recommend?
I just run fast.
Okay.
I just assume there are cameras and you're being filmed, and just run.
Okay, all right. So Charles Cola, you had a hot take.
One of the hot takes I had was you had answered your question more specifically, is that I would give the first session free.
There it is.
And I would literally sit down with them for an hour, talk some stuff out, show them some like how to use equipment, how all that changes your body, show them some testimonials of clients I've worked with, and some before and afters. So it's completely free. They get to meet with me, ask me questions, make sure that I'm not a freak. And then I also was priced just a shy, more competitive than anybody else. So with the free session, the first session free, and pricing just a hair under the competition.
Now, this next step number 4, is we have to make sure our branding is good. Okay, we talked about this earlier, but I want to make sure we're getting what I'm talking about. If your website was made by your husband, it probably looks bad. If your website was made by somebody you know and not a pro, it probably works bad. If your website was not designed by someone who knows what they're talking about, Devin, what is the statistical probability based upon the clients that I have had previous to knowing you and clients you've seen since I've known you? What percentage of the time is a website Google canonically or search engine compliant when we first look at it?
I'm going to have to go with never.
I've never seen it be done. So this idea is we say, I want to save money. Well, let me tell you what is expensive. It is very expensive to be cheap with your branding. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to spend money just to spend money, but it is expensive to be cheap with your branding. Also, Z, it is very expensive to be safe. So, Seth Godin writes, in a crowded marketplace, fitting in is failing. In a busy marketplace, not standing out is the same as being invisible. If you're remarkable, then it's likely that some people won't like you. Someone should write that down. If you're remarkable, then it's likely that some people won't like you. Somebody should write that down. If you're remarkable, then it's likely that some people won't like you. That's part of the definition of being remarkable. Nobody gets unanimous praise ever. The best the timid can hope for is to be unnoticed. Criticism comes to those who stand out. Playing it safe, following the rules, they seem like the best ways to avoid failure. Alas, that pattern is awfully dangerous. The current marketing rules will ultimately lead to failure. Charles Cola, you had a hot take.
Yes, I was going to say our website, we had a really kind of good-looking one, but it had no Google search.
You couldn't find it. It wasn't canonically compliant.
So a lot of the things that people say, I got a great website. I'm like, hey, it looks great, but it's not coming up on Google. You type in like
Joplin Gyms.
Yeah, Joplin Gyms, and there's no Joplin. Your website's not on the front page. So you've got to find.
You have 7 impressions right now on the first page. If everybody searches for Joplin Gyms, you come up 7 times in the first 14 search results.
Wow.
Super Clay and
hot
the Thrive
sauce.
team.
Hot sauce.
I mean, that is sick.
Boom.
You've got
sick sauce.
3 videos. You've got your Google map. Your website comes up twice. You now have images popping up. And you have your Facebook page. And the only thing on the first page that's not great, because you're getting reviews from real customers, is that bogus Yelp listing.
Yeah.
And if you're out there and you work for Yelp, screw off. I mean, Yelp is ridiculous. We just had the founder of the $1 Billion Bully. It's a documentary on Yelp and how Yelp works, where they interview ex-employees. And if you're out there and you want to get a great Yelp review, she found on average you had to pay between $500 and $2,000 a month for your positive reviews to show up on Yelp.
It's just mean.
It's
crazy.
crazy.
It's like people used to think the Better Business Bureau.
The Better
If you ever
Business
listen,
Bureau.
if you ever listen to our podcast or a radio show on the Better Business Bureau and what kind of a scam that is, they're all this. Everybody looks at it and goes, "Oh my, well, what's going on here?" And they use it. They're almost like attorneys. They use it to. It's like legal extortion. You know,
Yeah,
it's like it just
it's-
wears me out.
I had another one. That
Something needs to be done about it.
There was back in the day there was these wedding associations where they would convince you the best way to improve your brand is to be part of this wedding association. So I remember I signed up because I thought that would improve my branding. And notice if you reread the Boom Book, I don't talk about joining these associations. But I go there. They have cheese cubes. They have crackers. They have networking after
Cheese cubes?
hours.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They have networking after hours, before hours. There's usually a senator or a congressman talking in circles about House Bill 2734, things that don't impact you directly. And you pay this fee. You're paying about $100 a month, it seemed like. And you never got any leads. And you never got any revenue. But you were a part of the association. And it was pitched that you weren't professional unless you were a part of those things. Z, have you ever seen those kind of things where they kind of rope you into being a part of an association? In order for you to be credible, they kind of sell it to everyone in town that unless you're a member of this critical association, you could not possibly be profitable or professional.
I've seen it. I'll be frank with you. May I be frank?
I'll be Carl.
Okay, you be Carl, I'll be Frank.
Z, it's great to know you.
That's great. Hey.
You're a good guy.
Carl, you smell wonderful.
That's
I tell you
awesome.
what.
I talk like this because I was raised by people that talk like this.
I was raised in Southwest Missouri, and that's how we talk.
Could I be Stan now?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can actually stand while you're being Stan.
All right.
Okay. But the thing about it is I have a pretty good kind of a nose for those kind of scams.
You have a great nose,
Because I'm kind of a scam artist myself. I bring a scam back. You know, we made wicked into a cool term.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's like, hey,
Well, and
that's
Justin Timberlake brought
that's
sexy
wicked
back.
Good. Yeah, he's brought sexy back.
Can you bring the
I'm
scam
bringing
back?
scam back.
Was
I'm
it ever
bringing
here?
Was it? No, but I have a nose for those kind of things. And just kind of, it's like the old saying, I would never want to be a part of a country club that would have me as a member, kind of thing. So,
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's that's kind of my, threshold of, I smell something going on here.
These guys don't have any class.
They don't wear pants.
They let him in the club. So we move on to step 5. Now, step 5, I'm very passionate about step 5 because this is the little lie that everybody's told. Okay, it's the 3-legged marketing stool. Marketing. It's called marketing. Okay, step 5 is marketing. But this is the lie that you are told you've been sold because you have watched too many Shark Tanks. You've been to too much college. You've got too much MBA knowledge. Here's the deal. You believe that now that you have your branding and you've presented it to the marketplace that people are going to buy it because the product is going to be so good it's going to sell itself. You've heard this, Z.
Oh, yes.
How often have you
Viral.
seen somebody who is broke as a joke saying, you know what, I have a product that's so good it's going to sell itself? How often have you heard that?
Oh, every day.
So here's the rule. I want everyone to write this number down. Devin, put it on the show notes. You need to show your ID. You need to show your product. You need to show your product to 1,000 of your ideal and likely buyers for every one actual transaction. I repeat this. You have to show your product to 1,000 of your ideal and likely buyers before one transaction happens. Now, that's a lot of action. Marketing requires a lot of action if you want to get traction and transactions. So think about this. Koloff Fitness. What kind of people work out in Joplin? Think about it. What kind of people work out in Joplin? Are they 97? Is that the niche? 97 to 103? I want to know, can I get a membership? If I were to pass out and to die while on the treadmill, do you offer refunds? No. You don't see a lot of 92 and 97. Now, there are some people, but that's not the niche. That's not the core focus. Do you have a lot of complete rednecks, the kind of people that don't wear shirts into gas stations? Do we have a lot of those people working out? Do we have? So Koloff Fitness had to strategically choose even to where to locate the gyms. Half the battle is choosing the right location. So you find the right location where those conversations are going to be happening with the right ideal and likely buyers. But then you got to have those signs where people see the people holding up the street signs. You've got to have a prominent location where they see your signage. You've got to be top of Google. You've got to be top of the Google map. And you've got to show those ads 1,000 times before even one lead comes in. And I see so many people, and Devin, you see this, on their website, they get like 18 clicks a month.
Right.
And they're like, I'm not getting any buyers. And I'm going, listen, if you have 1,000 people on your website a day, you're probably going to get, if you're good.
If you're good.
Even
if you're bad.
10, maybe 10 people will stick around if you're good, and maybe 1 to 5 leads. I mean, so we got to show it over and over. And by the time that you're sick of telling people about your little startup T-shirt business, that's when you really got to get passionate about it.
That's when you got to get pumped
and then
up.
When your neighbor and your wife and your cousin and the people at church say, quit passing me out cards about your shirts, that's when you say, have I told you about my shirts?
Yes.
And then when people say,
oh,
to
look
you,
at my T-shirt I have on
when
today.
they say,
You
look,
can have this T-shirt.
I know you're a fitness guy. I know you're in the house down the street. I know you believe you can help me get in the greatest shape ever. Please stop talking. Do you promise? And you say, absolutely, which is why I wanted to tell you about our new $5 deal. It's at $5 you can get started.
$5.
Like, I just told you to stop talking about it. You said, oh, I thought you wanted me to stop talking about that
I
deal.
thought you wanted arms that look like this.
Charles, there's somebody out there who has an idea, and they think the idea is going to sell itself. Talk to them about how intense, how diligent, how consistently you have to, and how you had to sell Co-Law Fitness.
Oh, yeah.
Co-Law Fitness.
I remember I had little drop boxes I'd put in every little lobby, whether it's a doctor or some sort of lobby like at a car dealership, or whether it's like change your oil. And I had a little picture of me like flexing with my shirt off, and like a picture of the me before I started working out. I was 303, a big football lineman, and I lost 83 pounds.
Man.
And it says free session. And you say, put your name in here. So they drop their name and their number.
Love it.
And literally every day I'd go by and pick up those, and I would call them and call them and call them and call them until they would actually answer, and then I would schedule them in. And I had a script like you talked about, even though I didn't even learn that, but I was so nervous, like you talked about.
Yep.
I would write down what I was going to say.
Love it.
And so the next thing you know, I'd get them in front of me, and I probably would sell about half of them. But that's like, you fill a schedule of like 60 clients or so a week to get them in and fill your schedule up. You have to have a lot of no's, and you got to keep doing it. So even when you're working, you still have to get all these leads. So it's all active sales.
I love your action. I love talk about this, the bias for action.
Come on now.
You have to have to be successful. The bias for action. Because right now we live in a culture where the bias is to get a marketing book and go back to school, watch TED Talks 18 times, and then to talk to the listeners about that bias for activity. What kind of activity do you have to make a startup work? What kind of rocket fuel?
You have to be two things, and they're both C's. You've got to be curious.
Yep.
And you've got to be competitive.
Love it.
And the reason why you have to be those two things, you have to constantly ask yourself, how can I make this better? What's my competition doing? What can I do better? What do I need to do? For God's sakes, what have I been doing, and how can it be better?
True.
The curiosity of that has to just always be in your mind. Always be thinking about it. When you're taking a shower, when you're shaving in the morning, when you're doing whatever, you always got to be thinking about that. And then competitive. You've got to understand that if you want to start a business, and we encourage that, and we know according to Forbes, like 67% of you out there, and that's like 2 out of 3 are thinking about it or would like to do it, would be like, well, wouldn't that be fun if I was the man and not working for the man? So, but you have to be competitive because it's tough. It's war. None of your competitors are going to come to you and knock on your door.
No.
Hey, I see that you're opening up a fitness center, and you know what? We have like 12 fitness centers in town. We just want to welcome you into our fitness family. And you know what? We want to.
And if they do, they're coming to screw you.
Here's a shoebox full of money, because we know the first few months can be tough, and we know you've got bills to pay, and you've got. Oh, is that your daughter, your wife? Oh, your wife. Oh, she's so lovely too. Here's her shoebox of money too, because you know what? She probably wants to go shopping and get some new clothes. Not that your clothes are bad, Amber, but you might want to get some new stuff. They don't do that.
Right.
They try to crush you and run you out of business. They don't want you there. And the day you think that, they were just going to like open their arms, and they may say that when you run into a Target.
That's why these networking groups are so disingenuous and so
absolutely
stupid. At our last conference, we had a guy and if you're the guy, if this is you, Come on, man.
Come on,
Come on,
man.
man. This is what happens is this guy comes to our conference and he's sitting within a row or two of of a current client I've worked with for years, and they're in the same niche.
Same niche.
So he says, hey, this is what this guy says
Oh,
to
here's
my
what he said.
client of years. He
Yes,
says, hey, I talked to Clay, and he says he's going to work with me.
He says it.
I guess he's not really, into that whole exclusive thing. And
guess not.
So right away, my client comes up to me and he's like, dude, are you going to work with this guy? I said, I don't even know who this guy is.
I don't even know the guy.
But he was trying to get into my client's head.
Oh, yeah.
And to try to sow seeds of doubt. And this is what else is crazy. He went as far as to tell my current client that he's been working with me. Oof. So I had to get these two guys together. And I'm like, dude, you didn't say it. I've never worked with you. And he's like, well, it doesn't, doesn't hurt to try, Like, what? See, he thought it was like a cool thing that he was trying this move to try to poison a relationship. It's crazy. People, you've seen every move like that in business. You've seen it.
Oh, every dirty. Every
What's
dirty move.
What's the dirtiest move that a competitor's ever done to you in the optometry space where you said, that right there was so dirty that as a fellow business pirate, I applaud the dirtiness. What was the dirtiest move you've ever seen? Or maybe in the auto auction or something?
Oh my gosh. I mean, lawsuits are, that's I don't know if that's the dirtiest move, but they're just the most annoying.
They take all your time.
One of the most annoying moves, these frivolous lawsuits about stuff that you're like, really?
Come on.
Really?
Come on.
I love it, though, when I catch my competitors in my businesses. I love
in the
that.
Business. In the actual store.
Physically them. They're not even smart to send one of their minions in, one of their monkeys that I wouldn't know, right? So they're actually in there. I just cock my hand and go, really?
I'm
And
Dr.
they run up,
Thompson.
they drop
I'm
their
here
head
for
and
my-
run out of
Dr.
it.
Thompson, I'm here for an optometry exam.
Oh, wait, I forgot where I am. Is this not the mall that I'm... Oh, wait, this is
My bad.
Woodland Hills Mall. This is your business next... Forgive me.
But this happens all the time.
Oh, all the time.
We get competitors in our interviews. They're coming in for...
I had a person for Elephant in the Room who actually came to work for me, and she didn't know it. She made a mistake, and she texted her boss, hey, I can't come in today because I'm going to be working or whatever, something like that. But she texted us, but she meant to text her other boss.
Whoops.
And so we found out that she worked for us and another hair place in town.
Oh, there it is.
And then when we confronted her on it, she said that the other boss told her to work for us and her. So he would pay her 40 hours on payroll, but she could work for us so that she could report back as a spy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's pretty elaborate.
Oh, and we just had that at one of my businesses. We found out that one of the ladies that would work there, her husband was one of our main competitors, or actually was the general manager of one of our main competitors.
Come on.
And it's kind of like, really? And so my son, who kind of runs that business, I own it. We both own it, but he kind of does the day to day. He was telling me about that. He goes, "What do I do?" And I go, "You whacker." Yesterday. I mean, really?
No. This is what they'll say. They'll say,
you say two words, bye-bye.
But this is what they'll say, though. They'll say, Bo, my husband and I, we never talk about business. We've agreed that we would never share these ideas.
No. But I told him, I said, listen, because then we found out, because we did some reverse engineering. We found out that some of that she'd been sharing information. So I said, before you fire her, give her some disinformation.
I love that.
Kind of like you did to the DJ guy.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, this is a great story. You got to tell the DJs. Come on.
I'll give the abbreviated version.
Just a quick little snippet of it.
Let me share a different version of that story. We had the one story I've shared in the past. We had a DJ from Oklahoma City that pretended like he wanted to hire me to DJ his weddings. He said, "You clearly are the best DJ in Oklahoma."
Clearly.
No
doubt
wedding,
about it.
I don't want to hire my guys because it's a little step down. So I wanted to hire you. You'd be an honor. You're like the godfather of DJing. I'd love to hire you.
Godfather of DJ.
And so he came, and the whole time he's asking me about what kind of equipment I use.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of speakers I use.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of pricing I have.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew what he was doing.
Sure.
And so
the dirty move.
Yeah. So the entire time in the consultation, at no point did I tell him a single thing that was grounded in truth.
I love this.
But I said it sincerely and passionately, and it was great. Because he said, what's the key to your success? And I said, the thing is, I don't pressure my leads. I never call people back more than once. That's a golden rule. It's a rule. You never call. And the second thing is, women want equipment. They want the big equipment. And the size with the equipment.
The more fog you have, the better.
The more fog. Yeah, the fog, the equipment, the speaker
fog
size.
on.
And women act like, I don't want big speakers, but they do.
They do.
And you want to name your
Size does
packages
matter.
after metallic things.
Yes.
And they find women like all the colors, all black, everywhere black. And you want a huge logo of your company's name because brides like to pose with the logo at the wedding. You want your company logo neon, if possible, on your DJ system.
On
a big black backdrop. I mean, it's just powerful.
Powerful.
That's what you... And
moving.
And I kept doing this to him. Anyway, so we show up at the trade show, and Homeboy has done everything I told him to do. And he was pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's called the dirty move backfire.
But another move I did that is really a great move is I had a competitor. This is fairly recently. Was asking me about the hair game, and he didn't know that I knew that he's an owner of this hair business. He's like a silent investor in this hair business in town.
Yeah.
And he was asking me how sales are. Yeah. And dude, I feel like I'm not really sure. I've been reading the Bible to deal with this, but I feel like in the Bible there were spies. Right?
Right.
There were spies, and I don't know that. I mean, there's some deception in the Bible. There's a little bit of that.
Well, go into the land and figure out what's going on in there. And then
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
I mean, there's.
And so I let the guy know with great enthusiasm, kind of a remorseful, like, things aren't going well at Elephant in the Room right now. You know?
Oh, you went that time. I wouldn't know. I didn't know which direction you were going to go.
Because he was trying to figure out how well things were going, because he was trying to gauge whether he's going to open up a business that competes directly with us.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
And he was trying to, and he was kind of wanting to, anyway. And so I told him the opposite of what he perceived to be true, which is that we were rocking, and I let him know that we were not doing well and these kind of things. And again, man, business is more like war. It is more like war. That's what it is.
It is.
Now, move number, this is step number 6 if you're scoring at home. Step number 1 was establish those goals. Step 2, determine the number of hours you're willing to work. And by the way, get on the same page with your spouse.
You have to be.
And by the way, if you're married to a spouse who won't let you be an entrepreneur, then give up.
Give up what? The spouse or the entrepreneurship?
Either one.
Okay.
Either one.
You got to pick one. You got to pick one.
No, I'm being serious. Either one, because you're going to have a horrible life if you're married to someone who won't let you do what you want to do or vice versa. So you need to have that conversation. And if it's not going to work out, nothing's worse than seeing people in their 50s arguing all the time. You see a lot of entrepreneurs who their goal is the antithesis of their spouse's goal, and that sucks.
That sucks.
So wouldn't you agree if you're a newly married person out there and you realize you're married to someone who doesn't want you to be a successful entrepreneur and resents the hours you put in, it's probably better to...
Well, yeah, it's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem.
It's a problem that won't go away unless you deal with it. So you've got to be on the same page. You've got to be with your significant other. And whether you're married or they're living in or, your significant other, we'll call it, you have to be on the same page, and they have to buy in. And you know what? You may tell them, hey, I'm going to work 7 days a week for 2 years, and then I'm going to be whatever, and it may be longer than that, or it may be
would you want to hear
hours a week.
Donald Trump is certainly not a marriage expert, but would you want to hear his take on working hours and getting your spouse on the same page? Can I cue up an audio clip of Mr. President Trump discussing work-life balance?
I would love to hear that.
Okay, here we go.
We share a lot of stuff.
It's Melania.
Together. I don't think he's control freak at all.
Does he bring work home?
Yes, sometimes. But he's working all the time. Saturday, Sundays, he's playing golf. He's working all the time.
Doesn't it bother you?
No, it's his passion. He loves it. It doesn't bother me. I don't want to change him. I don't want, to say, come home.
Now, real quick, most of the women listening are saying, I could not do that. I'm just saying that's why the Trump-tastic has he's very open about it. Don't marry Trump-tastic if you want a guy to be home all the time. He's not going to do it. Let me hit play.
Home and, be with me. I don't want to change him. I want to give him a space, and I think that's very important in the relationship.
Because you used to tell me the one thing that troubled you about marriage was the feeling that you have to give up some of yourself, that you can't be the workaholic you are because of the demands of the nature of a relationship.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a workaholic. I mean, I work, but it's not work. It's like you. I mean, I love what I do, so it's no longer work. It's not like work. I mean, work to me is going on a 2-week vacation. If somebody said you have to go away for 2 weeks, you're going to Africa on a safari, there's not going to be any phones, you know what? You get me out of here, right?
So again, somebody out there might say, that sounds horrible to be married to someone like that. That's fine, but you got to find, nothing's worse than seeing two people fight for 45 years over the same thing. So I'm just encouraging you out there today.
It is tough, and that's why, hopefully when you did... a lot of these things, a lot of businesses and a lot of business owners are grown out of a seed that was put in their little heart or their brain
Yep.
years and years and years and years and years ago.
True.
You know, they work for someone and they thought, boy, wouldn't that be great to own my own restaurant?
Oh,
Or
that'd
they-
be great.
Or they, you know, they
Oh,
work
yeah.
for someone and said, wouldn't it be great to have my own landscaping business? And, you know, I love mowing yards and I love doing all that stuff. And so it's important that for those of you listening out there right now that are younger and that are not married and you're thinking that at some point you want to be a business owner, it's important then to kind of make sure that in the courting process, we'll call it, that you talk about these things. You know, it's kind of like, I mean, there's nothing worse than not having the same agreement. You're married for a couple of years, you're like, hey, they want to have a kid. And the person goes, I don't want to have any children. And you're like, well, I think that's kind of
right.
When that understood, they're like, what are you talking about? No, I don't like kids. I don't want kids. And you're like, well, I thought that was kind of part of the deal, you know? And they're like, so there's nothing like a good understanding. Communication's key. And so if you're a young person and you're not with your significant other yet, make sure when you do, you talk about that and you kind of vision cast what that looks like and maybe your curiosity, your competitiveness, and the things that are going to lead down to that. And if you are with someone and they don't buy in, then you've got some selling to do. You got some.
And I'm going to say this too, unsolicited, just life advice as it relates to relationships that I'll give to you, is as a person who has been married to a great lady for a long time. My mother warned my wife and said, this is what she said before we got married. She says, if you marry my son, your life will never be normal.
Never.
And so it was like, huh? And basically my mom explained that I am in perpetual motion. I do not do downtime. I do not, even as a kid, like vacations. So I will always make a lot of money. I will get stuff done. That's what I do. I go 90 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour world. That's my thing. But Vanessa knew what she was signing up for, and it's been great. But if you're out there and you are spending 6 months planning your wedding, but 6 minutes planning your life, that's a problem.
That's a problem. I mean, the thing about it is, here again, it's back to communication. If you think you're in line for the Ferris wheel at the fair,
yep,
and you're just going, oh, I can hardly wait. Ferris wheel goes around,
Ferris
and
wheel,
around,
nice and slow, up
when it
and
gets up
down,
high, it's a little scary, but it's okay because it comes
and
back down.
down.
And then all of a sudden, you get up to the front of the line, you realize you're in line for the extreme roller coaster.
Uh-oh.
And they're like, we got to strap you on. You got to sign this form. We got to take a blood test. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to. Oh yeah.
Roller coaster of love, baby.
Roller coaster of love. Oh yeah, come on. And then you're like, then you have that moment of, do I get on it? Do I get strapped in? Do I wear the helmet? Oh my gosh, what's happening?
Do we have to go up to the top? You can picture it now that the roller coaster's going up slow to the top. Ding 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 ding. And it's always kind of janky. Ding 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 ding.
And you think it's every moment's gonna fail.
I thought it was the
Give me a
Ferris
little bit of
wheel.
that roller coaster. There you go. Oh, yeah.
That happens all the freaking time.
It does, but if you know you're in line for the extreme roller coaster and you signed up for that, then it's okay.
If you're going to plan your wedding, here's a tip. Stop having sex. Picture them when they're 50 or 60, and then make a plan about your life. Because the thing you're going to do the absolute least when you're married is have sex. There will be no activity that you do less than have sex. The number one thing that you will not have time for in your calendar is to have sex. And when you're dating, all you want to do is have sex.
You've just ruined all the 67% of the people out there, all the men at least, that want to have their own business are like, oh, I'm going to get my own business now.
I'm just saying, so many people, it's like, well, we have sex, so therefore we should get married.
You have just single-handedly destroyed the U.S. economy. Thank you very much.
No, you ask people, when you ask people like exit interviews, why did you get married? They're like, well, they're attractive. Get out of here. The one thing you're not going to be spending your time doing is having sex. Quit spending 6 months planning your wedding and spend 6 months planning your life. Ask yourself, do I like this person? I love my wife's mind. Turns out she's smart. But dear Lord, the other day I was talking to a lady at the conference and she said, I don't know what kind of woman could be married to you. And I said, nobody else.
Nobody else.
I couldn't. Nobody. I'm a
Unless,
crazy
I
person.
don't know. I know there's new medication. There's new medications out. We might be able to medicate somebody else enough that they could do it. I'm just saying. I mean, in theory, I am a doctor. Not a real. I play one on the radio. But
you said that. You said that.
Sort of
Clay was
kind
a
of
woman.
like I'm like Coca-Cola Light. I'm like Diet Coke of doctors. You know.
You're going to drug some guy named Carl, and next thing I know, I'm going to wake up next to him, and he's going to be my backup plan. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
So you got to sell something. Now, sales, I want to get Charles's take on this.
Yep.
Sales requires conflict.
All the time.
You don't want to have conflict. It requires rejection. you don't want it. So if you're going to sell these T-shirts, get used to rejection. And let me tell you this: it takes 100 no's for every yes. 100 no's for every yes. 100 rejections for every yes. If you don't like to be hit, don't play linebacker. And if you don't like to be rejected, don't do a full contact sport known as entrepreneurship. Charles, talk to me about rejection.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, I would have my Amber and the assistant that we had helping out at the gym. They would call every week to get me scheduled in to speak somewhere. And if they couldn't, I'd go and sit. It's like a company's lobby during lunch, and I would literally take free training sessions, appointments. So I would take like every single, like, let's say there was a call center in Bartlesville, and they'd have like several hundred employees. There's always tons of turnover too.
Yep.
And so I would go sit in the lunch area. I think it was called Sitel. Anyways, but I'd sit there and I would literally meet with people, talk to them about fitness, have pictures of me in competitions, have pictures of clients I've
Do you ever
worked
get
with.
thrown out?
Well, they generally wanted me to speak on health, so I'd go in there, talk about health, tell them health tips and stuff during lunch, and then I'd sign up like 40 or 50 people, like every time I'd go.
How many people would show up?
And I would have like less than a third show up.
Got it.
Okay, and then I would have about 1/3 of those sign up. So
Yeah.
I'd
Did
have
you-
like
did
I'd
you
have
ever
like 80 scheduled, and I ended up sell like maybe 10 or 15 out in the next 2 weeks. But it was just doing that all the time.
Charles, did you ever show up to talk in the lunchroom without your shirt on and just baby oiled up? I mean, just get that. I mean, you had your baby oil on. I mean,
I
just
didn't
all glistening like a Krispy Kreme donut. I mean,
I
was
did
that,
not- I
was
did
that
not.
your move? Was that your move?
I did not, but I did speak at
Oh.
the schools every year, and I'd wear a tank top, and I'd come out and do like a posing routine and throw T-shirts out. I would do whatever I could to get the crowd revved up.
That's
and-
your purple cow.
Yeah, I would do whatever it took.
Now, step 6, again, we have to have sales. So there's more details in the boom book, but we're talking about sales scripts. Record your calls via clarityvoice.com. Record your calls so you know how well you're doing or how well you're not doing. But now once you start selling something, you got to ask yourself, step number
Self?
7, how much money does it cost me for every deal I get?
How
Because I'm
much?
spending $48 on marketing for every shirt that I'm selling for $19. That's not good.
That's not good.
Zeke, why do you have to measure what it costs to acquire a customer? Why do you have to determine that?
That is really, really fun. When you figure out what it costs to get somebody in to do business with you.
I love it.
And then something goes wrong.
Oh.
I remember this story. So we had shocking, I know, that we had a patient in the eye clinic that was upset.
This just in.
That was upset. And they came in and they were fussing about some stuff.
Get out of here.
I know that sounds bizarre.
I can't believe it.
Unbelievable at
Not a
best,
credible
but
story.
true.
Not a credible story.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
I don't
I'm
believe-
making this up. Actually.
Okay, continue.
I'm not. So what happened was that my employee came in just outraged. Outraged. And
Are
said,
you
listen,
kidding me?
I'm outraged and said, listen, this customer, patient / person is just trying to scam. They're wanting something for nothing, and we really did a good job, and now they're upset for no apparent reason, and they're
scam us. Trying to scam us.
Trying to scam.
ready. I'll kick them out of here if you want.
And I said, well, what do they want? And they said, well, these lenses that they purchased, they really want some other lenses, and they're saying they can't see out of them, but they really can. It's the right prescription. We did them correctly. I mean, everything's done correctly. They got what they paid for, and they're not happy with them.
I've got the megaphone and I got some rioters ready if you want me to deal with them.
Sure. And so I said to myself, what do they want? And then they told me what they wanted. And what they wanted cost me less than what it cost me to bring a new person into the practice. Okay, follow me. Follow my logic here. And I said to them, I mean, it was a no-brainer. I looked at them and I said, do you realize what they want from me is less to make them happy, to take them from a hostile individual to a happy individual,
Sir,
from a
I've
1-star review to a 5-star review. We'll put it in motion now that everybody can understand.
Boss, I've rounded up some leading members of Al Qaeda, and I feel like they're ready to go.
Yeah.
Why can't we just unleash the hounds?
Nuke
They're ready to go.
'em. just nuke them. And I said, it's a no-brainer. I would spend more than that to bring somebody else new into the practice. So even though what they're wanting isn't because we made a mistake or it's our fault, even though they want something from me that they don't necessarily deserve, I'm still going to do it because in the long run, it's best for what's best. You put it through the filter. What's best for the business? That's what I'm saying. You put it through the filter. What's best for the business? And sitting out there and arguing with someone and letting them know that you're on to them, or giving them what they want, which didn't cost me a lot.
Can we still hit them with a tear gas?
Or a baseball bat. It's a no-brainer. So understanding that, understanding the cost of bringing someone new into your business is so important.
Yep.
Because it makes a lot of those decisions, like that decision, become no-brainers. Now, I mean, at some point, it becomes like, okay, that's not reasonable. That's not functional. I can't do that. But at this one, it just became almost a no-brainer. I mean, it's easy. It's an easy decision.
Now, step 8, we got to create. We have to create scalable and repeatable processes and systems. You have to create repeatable processes. We could spend an entire show on that, and we often do. Now, step number 9, you've got to learn how to manage people. And I'm telling you this, the hardest thing, according to John D. Rockefeller, he said that the ability to manage people is the hardest thing to do. See, why would the world's wealthiest man say managing people is tough?
Herding cats is never fun. I've herded cats for many, many years. And managing people are like herding cats. I mean, they're all individuals. They all have a mind. They all have an attitude. They all have a life outside work that you say, don't bring your personal problems into work. You know, every business has that as a policy. And nobody follows it because everybody's personal stuff is who they are. So it's challenging. And you know what? They don't have the same passion and concerns for your business as you do. As much as you want them to have it, they'll never have it because it's not their business.
Z, I know I'm not supposed to bring my personal business into the workplace, and I'm not going to.
No, of course not.
But I wanted to show you this rash. It's about thigh high. Look at this.
Oh, wow.
That's what people do all the time. You literally have a meeting about not bringing your personal issues to work, and as soon as the meeting concludes,
everyone's talking about their personal
stuff.
stuff.
Can I show you my rash?
Can I show you my rash? What do you think? You're almost a doctor, right?
That's what they do. They not do that though? As soon as you have the meeting,
every single time.
Never gets better.
So, managing people is difficult. And then you think managing people is difficult until you manage even more people. And then you think, well, that wasn't so bad when I had.
And then you move into a dark period where you start looking at Picasso's blue period artwork.
Yes.
And you start spending hours and hours alone crying. And then you realize you might be managing too many people and you should delegate a little bit.
You should maybe delegate just a touch.
I would outmanage more than 12 people directly.
Just as mentioned, yeah. 10 to 12. I mean, Jesus had only 12 disciples.
If you find yourself listening to The Crying Game by The Cure a lot.
Over, on loop.
Have you seen The Crying Game?
Have I seen it?
Have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't. I think I know the concept.
It's a movie. Can we keep the music real quick? This is present. It's a movie about a guy who's dating a girl.
Okay.
And things are going well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's fun. That's good. That's a good movie.
And then he recognizes that she is a he.
Oh, that move. Oh.
And then he starts crying.
I
mean,
you made me love something that wasn't really what I thought it was.
If you find yourself relating to this song, you're definitely managing too many people.
Managing too many people.
Just listen to this song.
And if you don't know the gender of the person you're dating, you probably are managing too many people.
Just look for an Adam's apple. So you're not a girl?
So that means, oh my gosh, that means I gotta cry.
But seriously, you gotta look at this rash. Okay. So
is that the same rash you had before, or is it a different one?
Well, it's the same one. Certain rashes you can't make go away. Okay. The final step is you've got to create a weekly schedule that your spouse loves. That you love.
Or at least accepts. At least we'll tolerate. Let's call it. We'll at least tolerate.
Charles, why do you and Amber have to be on the same page?
Come on,
why are you on the same page?
What is going on over there?
Well, we have both kind of turned into entrepreneur people are together. We just literally love to work and go. But yes, we have to be on the same page, and we generally work until we both look at each other and say, "Hey, we got to be done," to still have a healthy family every now and then. So. We do have a schedule, and
Can we mic her? Can I mic her? Is that okay? I mean, I love hearing your voice.
Hey.
But,
Charles is a big guy. I don't know.
And
if we
can
talk
you
about all
adjust
that
the
kind of
mic
stuff.
real quick? I want to make sure we end on a high note, and I really want to get her wisdom in this because there's so many ladies out there who are entrepreneurs, and they're married to a man who's not, or vice versa. What advice would you have for the women out there specifically who are entrepreneurs and married to someone who is maybe not, or somebody who, much like you, or you're an entrepreneur as well? I mean, what advice would you have about making that schedule that works for the Koloff family?
Oh, stick to the schedule. First of all, that's a huge part. We make our schedule to kind of fulfill both of our desires to work and both of our desires to have a healthy family and a healthy marriage. And the more we do it together, the funner it is, for sure. So, but we have learned over time, the more fluid our schedule is, the less enjoyment we have.
I absolutely love working with you guys because you embrace. Anytime I've taught you guys a principle, or I break down a book and say, traction, do this. Yeah. You guys do it, and there's not a pushback. There's just like, well, if it's accepted and it's been proven, you want to know the logic behind it or the case study behind it. But once you know it's a fact, you guys do it. But there's some people that say, I know I need to stick to a schedule. I know I need to do it, but then they don't. What advice would you have for that person who's they say, I don't want to stick to a schedule because I don't want to be boxed in, but then they look down at their life at the end of the week and they go, man, I didn't get anything done.
Right. I don't think that they realize their own lack of being able to keep a schedule causes all their own misery.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot stuff right there.
That's hot stuff, yeah.
So if you're out there today
hot.
and you live in the Joplin area, the Topeka area, the Bartlesville area, the Arlington, Texas area, Oklahoma City, why aren't you signing up for a Koloff Fitness membership?
Why? That's a very good question. Why not?
Well, you might say, well, they're not
you don't want to be
open
wait,
yet.
You don't care about your body.
Listen, Charles has a hot deal going right now. We've never talked about this, but I know he'll honor it. While they're doing demo and construction, if you'll just work out in the parking lot with it's like only $1 a month. If you're in the parking lot, there won't be any employees there. The company's the location isn't open yet. No overhead, but it'd be just $1. I mean, he's willing to waive the normal fee. You don't have the cannon. You don't have the new equipment. I
think that's fair.
And it shows your resourcefulness. If you're out there, attempting to lift up like a Volkswagen with your buddy Kevin, that shows you're the kind of person that would love Koloff.
Yeah, and Kevin, I've got a buddy named Kevin that loves actually to lift Volkswagens. So
you can do fun exercises like you could do. We're going to do 4 pull-ups on one of the light poles, and then we're going to siphon gas from someone's car.
Yes,
just to demonstrate your breathing capacity.
And then we're going to go out there and rotate tires. So
rotate tires.
Cars.
We'll do sprints,
and
crushers.
then we just run. And then we run laps around the parking lot.
Right.
And one of my favorite things is to get on the curbs. And walk the curb and act like you're like on a 1,000-foot cliff.
Urban Ninja.
I mean, just kind of that's a good move.
That's a good move. Another thing you can do is burpees. Yeah. Burpees just require body weight.
Right.
You just do
on
burpees.
The concrete.
You can do push-ups. You can do what is it? See,
if you have your buddy Kevin in between tipping over Volkswagens, he can hold your feet. You can do sit-ups and then take turns holding each other's feet doing sit-ups.
What's that one exercise that you do? Is it gravel throwing?
Raises. What?
Is it calf raises? Calf raises and gravel throwing. You'll reach down and you'll grab gravel.
If there's a big enough truck in the parking lot, you can take a tire off of it, jack it up, take the tire off, and then do the tire flip things through the parking lot.
So you're doing the tire flip things, and then you go back to siphoning gas and burpees. You got the whole workout there. Yeah. You just got to go to Arlington, find the location.
That's a steal.
That's a steal.
That's a steal. I mean, it's almost criminal.
Fun.
It's almost criminal.
And there's no mirrors yet, but you could look in the windows of cars.
No, you could.
And you could see your own reflection.
Yeah, you could. But then also you could ask Kevin, how do I look? And he's going to be honest. He's going to be honest with you. He's going to say, "You look swole. You look good. You look."
It's a great way.
You look like you're getting bigger.
And for the first 1,000 of you, if you work out together, it's a great way to get media attention for the brand. It's a PR stunt. Get 1,000 of you out there working out, chanting "Cola, Cola, Cola." The whole thing. We've thought through it all.
It's, you know what? That's why you are probably the preeminent marketer, business coach. In the world.
And if you don't know,
that just happened. That just happened. That was not planned.
And if you can't sign up online, Charles has worked a deal. Take your $1 and put it in the bucket behind the back door.
Yes, the bucket. Always the bucket behind the back door.
And just leave it there. Trust us.
Yes, and then go to the front parking lot and just get your workout on.
That's
right.
And
I mean, just get your workout on. And if you have one of those old 80s boom boxes, you can come out there. Just bring that. Put that up there. And I mean,
Koloff Fitness is a 24/7 facility. Mm-hmm. Should you work out at 3 a.m., it's mostly safe. Just don't talk to the guy named Sneaks.
Or Roscoe.
Right. If you see Sneaks or Roscoe, just Look the other way and get back to siphoning that
Just
gas.
keep flipping your
and fill the
tire. And
tires
just keep flipping your tire and keep on move on along.
That's Man Law mixed with Cola. Check them out online. That's colafitness.com. And Z, without any further ado, we're going to end the show with a
people out there going to have what it's called is COLAW. Did I get that right? Cola.
Got it.
Cola.
C. Give me a C.
C.
Give me an O.
O.
Give me a L.
L.
Give me an A.
A.
Give me a W.
W.
Give me an F. Not that card.
Okay.
Give me an
Sorry.
I.
.com.
Give me an N.
Oh, Cola Fitness. Yes.
Give me an S.
Oh, SS.
Is this thing going well? Give me one more. Give me a .com. All right, now we're going to end the boom.
I lost. Okay, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1,
boom.
What if you could gain access to download each and every book that I've ever written for free?
Well, that'd be terrible because I don't like you.
Okay, we're making a big assumption here. But assuming that you do like me and you like the Thrive Time Show, you can now go to thrivetimeshow.com/free-resources. That's thrivetimeshow.com/free-resources to download each and every book that I've ever written for free. You can download the ebook version of each and every book that I've ever written for free.
Clay, I just want to chime in here real quick. I don't like you or capitalism. I feel like we should all get free stuff.
Well, I am in the process of explaining where you can get free stuff. And you can now also download all the helpful infographics. There's infographics on Firing 101, the perfect hiring system, the principles from Ray Dalio, Internet Marketing 101, the Lead Bin Management System, Managing Humans 101, Logo Creation 101, Why Google Loves WordPress, Time Management 101. We also have an incredible infographic about the importance of calling your leads often, because the average person no longer answers their phone unless they are called multiple times and unless they receive a text from you. We also have the importance of File Nomenclature 101, Sales Lead Conversion 101, and much, much more. And it's all available for you to download for free right now by going to thrivetimeshow.com.
Are you suggesting that I should have to move my body?
Yes.
This is for free. Isn't there a way you could just beam it? I mean, why do I have to move my body?
Because
typing causes me anxiety.
Whatever.
Which is why I would never go to thrivetimeshow.com.
Come on.
/free-resources. I would never go to thrivetimeshow.com. /free-resources.
All right, let me clarify. If you have the capacity to move your fingers, go to thrivetimeshow.com /free-resources to download an ebook version of every single Amazon best-selling book I've ever written and all the infographics that have the power to change your life.